All right, good afternoon. I want to start out, just congratulate Levi Drake Rodriguez, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Block field goal was huge in the game last Sunday, and he's been coming on. He's had really put together a nice season after a really good training camp. First career sack also last weekend. So excited for Levi. We talked about this week on Monday, but very important week for our team coming back home. We're talking a lot about, now that we know some of the things that it takes for this year's team to win football games, how we play all three phases. Now it's about consistency and, showing up at U.S. Bank Stadium against a really good team on Sunday and performing the way we need to win. So open it up to you guys.
Kevin, how much of what you're using in the offense is hinging on what you see from J.J., as opposed to putting everything on there and knowing this is everything we can use, or do you put more in based on what you saw last week on the field?
I just think it's about doing things that he's comfortable doing right now. Pre-snap, post-snap, what we're asking him to do in the pass game. Where are the areas that we're continually working fundamentally, and where are the areas where throughout the game, the ebbs and flows of games, where we see some of the inconsistencies that come with a young player who just made his third start. So I think we're going to try to do the things we think it gives our offense a chance, but all that goes through a scope of what J.J. does well, what we think his role in the game plan can be to help us, and the things he does well fit with getting some of our best players on our offense going, as well as making sure we're very cognizant of the line of scrimmage and running the football as well.
Kevin, you talked a little bit after the game about that some of the out of the pocket throws being a little amped. I just wondered what, from an accuracy standpoint, with some of those throws, what is required to be accurate?
Yeah, I think so much of it comes from the understanding of just the amount of RPMs you have to put on the throw, and he's got the ability, high level, to throw the ball very hard. But you guys have heard me talk about a lot of things in regards to things I look for in quarterbacks, and arm strength is normally not on the podium as far as the top things you're talking about. It is very important, especially with some of the coverages we get with Justin, or attacking some of the one-on-ones in tight coverage. But the most important thing is, as he learned on a few throws the other day, both completions he had that were critical, the long throw to Addison, really either one of the longer completions to Addison. But then also, it's not just the ones you complete. It's, are we giving guys a chance for run after catch as well? When we've married the run in the pass and set up a play pass with a chance for an explosive, it doesn't just have to be a catch and get back up and get 21 yards. It can be a 30, 40-yard catch and run. Especially we've seen what Justin can do with the ball in his hands. Addison, we gave him a jet sweep and he made 3 defenders miss and got a first down on a 2nd and 16 or 15 or whatever it was. So how many times can we just – and a lot of those plays are relatively low on the scale of difficulty, and then it becomes, the consistency of not only being accurate on this throw and this throw, but then, it's every single throw, every single play where when we get that consistency from him, which I think he's definitely capable of, especially when you're focusing on the lower body mechanics and understanding the tempo that you can use throughout the game with your throw, different variations. And that's what the most important thing is for accuracy. And then once you start getting comfortable using that, then you got to get comfortable, something catches your eye, you got to throw it to a place where a guy's going. And if you're not going to throw it hard, you got to then, adjust for that in the type of throw you use. So I think it's all part of his development. It's all normal. And the best things about J.J. are, in the biggest moment of the game the other day, he had a very, very, really good rep with Speedy to put the game away and ice it. And there wasn't a lot of fundamental encouragement before I called that play. It was, let him go be at his best when it's required to make the play.
What did you say to him prior to that? I mean, you had the 15 or so seconds here.
Yeah, it was more so just, coming off the previous sequence where I had kind of mentioned some things to him, but maybe didn't do a good enough job emphasizing as far as the clock, maybe, eating a little bit more clock, especially. And it was a little bit more about, hey, I'm going to take a shot here, but there is no scenario where an incompletion or a throwaway is better than a sack to keep the clock running, or at least make Dan have to use whatever timeout he had left in that moment. So he understands when that play call comes in, we're trying to end the football game, and he's going to give Speedy a chance to make a play versus the one-on-one he got. But part of that is the trust in him to make that throw and in that moment, meet that moment to be able to give Speedy a chance to make a play. But if, let's say, they play zone or we don't like the look on the play, he's got to be able to tuck that thing, protect the football, and make sure the clock is our ally in that moment.
Kevin, the screen pass to Aaron Jones on the first drive of the game,
Yeah.
is that J.J. just checking into that? Like, is that a can at the line? Or, I mean...
Yeah, it was a can, but he still had to recognize the look and, thought, kind of went into the game plan knowing, the history we've had with with the Lions and kind of maybe where they would go with the first, third down real opportunity of the game. And he did a great job recognizing the look and then really accurate throw. Brian O'Neill was fantastic on the play. Kind of had to make an adjustment based upon, we didn't have all 11 guys get the can in the noise, which is something we've got to improve on, But yeah, it was part of a kind of a play. But the quarterback still has to, get to the right play based upon the look, get it communicated to everybody, really be the beacon of kind of making that whole thing go. And it's exactly what he was on that look.
How can a guy do all that? The quarterback. I mean, it seems so much that he has to be aware of and smart. Reflexive and all that stuff. I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you can do all that stuff at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I would equate it to, it would be like, if you're a high-level chef making a meal, we try to put the ingredients out on the counter and then leave the instructions right next to the ingredients and then potentially, have up until 15 seconds to help guide the crafting of that meal. That's how we try to do it, so it's not just show up to the stadium and figure it out all on your own. But you're exactly right. I mean, it's still a third start. Making a play like that and recognizing the look and kind of taking the ingredients of the information that we talk about a lot during the week and getting the answers to the test via a lot of that is kind of, what you're looking for. And I've always thought J.J. is a very, very high-level processor of information, whether it's protection calls and the things he has to have to make certain looks blockable and make it right. I've known that from the first time I sat down with him in Ann Arbor. So that's what makes you so encouraged and excited about the fact that some of the things we're working through right now with a young player, totally normal, are the physical side of things. The fact that he's so high capacity and capable mentally of so much is where you hope to see a young player grow within the same system for a long time, hopefully. So, but you're exactly right as far as you can turn on the TV and see that exact same look and not see the level of poise and ability to get the guys into the right play on that sequence for sure.
Kevin, was the trade deadline calm for you yesterday, or were there any possibilities that could have flushed
Yeah,
out?
I know there were some calls and some things, but what I thought Kwesi did a really good job communicating and kind of letting us know kind of what some of the possibilities were and talking through those. It's a game plan day, so we're pretty hard at work as coaches and. But yeah, nothing really materialized, and like I said, we've kind of felt like very similar to our opponent probably, who kind of dealt with some injury adversity, and now they're getting healthy and getting back to being the original team they thought they'd be, and they're a really good one. So we're hoping we're the same, and hoping and talking about it doesn't do a whole lot. We got to go put consistency on tape every single week.
The Ravens, what do you see with Kyle Hamilton and that defense and how they've seemingly gotten back on track?
Yeah, I mean, they make the trade for another safety, a really talented guy in Gilman, which allows Kyle Hamilton to then play pretty much predominantly the nickel spot, which they're playing a lot of nickel defense to basically every grouping. And then that also allows Humphrey to, stay out at the spot where he's incredibly impactful. At the outside corner spot, and I arguably think they have maybe the best combination of corners in the NFL. And then when you throw Hamilton in there as the nickel, I mean, it's an incredible challenge, and we feel great about our skill guys, but we've got to show up ready for a really, really tough task and test on Sunday.
Evan, how would you describe just the impact that Andrew Van Ginkel makes on your entire defense?
Yeah.
And how big it'll be to have him with this week's challenge?
I think I showed the team a clip of him today. I think he got, hit from outside, got kind of knocked from a kind of a blindside block on a screen, and he's on the ground, but still recognizes that, Montgomery or Gibbs or whoever it was had the ball on a screen, and he makes the play. Like, it's not only the instinctiveness of plays like that really don't jump out, when he makes the play. I mean, obviously we all see the intercepting a screen for a touchdown or, picking off a hot throw in a zero. But it's all of those little ones, Will, that he does. And then it's just much like Harry at one of those safety spots, it's just the communication. It's everybody's on the same page. We had way more snaps with Andrew Van Ginkel on the field where all 11 guys did their jobs and knew exactly what the call was. So he provides so many layers of things to our defense that allows Flo to be who he wants to be as a play caller. And then, everybody seems to Gink helps everybody else around him, not only himself, play at a high level. So it's impactful for sure.
Kevin, relative to Andrew Van Ginkel and other linebackers, Lamar Jackson, yes, I'm not in my seat today. 2 days in a row I'm not in my seat. But relative to those linebackers and the challenge you face with Lamar Jackson, what do you need from those guys to be able to get it done this week?
Yeah, Lamar, he's just such a weapon now on schedule. When he's clean in the pocket, he's throwing in rhythm. They've got really, whether it's receivers with Zay in that group or it's the tight ends with Andrews in that group, they've got different running backs, and whether it's the screen game or free release out of the backfield with Hill and Henry. You just have to know that, it's going to be just playing the initial snap is going to be hard enough. The scheme that they run, and it's very well coached and they're very physical. Playing the snap itself is the starting point. Then the next play starts when things do go off schedule. And we've played against some guys this year who have hurt us, whether it's internally getting up and out of the pocket where, you got to look at the tape and say, was our rush plan as disciplined as it needs to be versus a quarterback that can hurt you? And if you're going to turn the rush loose, do you have to have somebody accounting for that quarterback when they move? But to me, it's about disruption, and it's about getting him off the spot. And then it's the player that gets him off the spot is more than likely not going to be able to always make the play. So who's the next guy there? And was there discipline in making sure you corral and keep him in the area that you have to, because he can change a game. Even if you've done it for 70 plays and you're in the fourth quarter, he can do it in a gotta-have-it moment and win the football game. So it's going to be a challenge. That's what makes the Ravens so difficult. I mean, we talked about their defensive skill players. We didn't even talk about, the fact they've got really good linebackers, a huge, big, heavy defensive front, really good edges. And offensively, they've got a physical O-line, one of the best backs in football, and a bunch of skill players to go along with the physicality that they could be explosive in a heartbeat. So all led by Lamar. So it's going to be it's a big-time challenge for sure.
Kevin, the intensity that J.J. brought to your post-game celebration, did that catch you off guard at all?
It never catches me off guard. I just know to give him the football, deliver the message that I'd like to deliver, and then get the hell out of the way for my own personal safety in that moment. But look, you look around the locker room, I know I did, not only when I'm talking about him, but after when he's saying a few words, and you just see when the guys look at him, they see J.J. McCarthy being himself. And that's all I've ever really thought quarterbacks in this league need to do. Just much like a head coach, you got to be authentically yourself every single day, and he's absolutely that. I think that's what allows him to be ready for the moments in games where he's answered the bell, twice now in 2 divisional road games. But that does not mean I have to be really close and in arm's reach of him when he does those things. But the guys were excited. I did think it took way too long talking to Tom Brady, and we were waiting for him for an awful long time. The Lions don't make it easy on you. You guys know that. We got to run up a 2-mile hill to get to the locker room. So I did see video of him taking a nice brisk walk off the field up the ramp. So, maybe I'll encourage him to a slow jog would go a long way, so we can get back home here the Twin Cities. But no, it was a cool moment. We've had a couple of them so far this year. Hope to have more.